I'm joined by RNZ's business editor Giles Beckford. And Giles, the lockdown is having an impact on economic activity.
Kia ora to you, Michael. Yes, as you would expect, we have a couple of pieces of data out this morning which show the impact of the lockdown. First up, we'll have a look at the number of jobs that are being advertised. And the latest BNZ Bank Seek employment report shows job adverts were down 12% last month, but are up by more than half on a year ago and 15% higher on the same month in 2019. The number of job applications was down 6% on July. Biggest decline, as you would expect, in jobs in the trades, hospitality, tourism and retail sectors. BNZ senior economist Craig Ebert says despite the pain being felt by some sectors, the labour market's in a pretty strong position going into the lockdown.
These initial numbers at least tell us that there is a sense of being able to be resilient through this period and also look through to the other side of it. And also to bear in mind that going into this latest lockdown, the jobs market was incredibly strong. So even with the fall we've seen in these job numbers in August, they're actually still well above what they were a couple of years ago, which is a good comparison to make. So again, there's a real sense of robustness underneath the numbers.
And Craig Ebert says there's likely to be more of a regional split in next month's numbers as Auckland remains under alert level 4. And traffic flows are the other piece of data out this morning showing the impact of the lockdowns. Not surprisingly, they've hit the skids in the latter half of August as lockdown was imposed. ANZ Bank's Heavy Traffic Index, which is a real-time measure of activity, down 18% on July. The volume of light traffic, which looks 6 months ahead, was down nearly 28%. ANZ's chief economist Sharon Zollner says the drop in traffic isn't as severe as last year, and that suggests there'll be a bounce back as the country comes out of the lockdown.
But if we just look at the lockdown period on its own, we can see that traffic flows have actually held up better than in level 4 last year. There is a bit more activity going on. Some of that might be vaccinations and testing perhaps, but I think some of it is economic activity in terms of the fact that we can see in our ANZ card spending data that there has been more retail spending in this level 4 lockdown than last time. I think the couriers are pretty busy.
Sharon Zollner says there's not much in the latest releases to suggest the Reserve Bank should want to hold back from lifting the official cash rate next month. And to provide something of a before the lockdowns picture, there's a flurry of numbers from Stats NZ showing relative strength in various sectors and price pressures. Manufacturing sales volumes, which discount price changes, fell fractionally in the June quarter in their worst showing in the year, but they're still 19% ahead on a year ago. Wholesale trade sales were up 3% in the June quarter, and surging power and energy prices meant the sector had record value of sales in the second quarter, rising 44% on the 3 months ended March, second only to construction sales. Meanwhile, employment in the construction sector grew by more than 2%, adding 3,700 jobs, easily outpacing other sectors. Well, cooperative businesses are growing in the country despite the top 30 companies in the sector seeing their share of the gross domestic product fall. The New Zealand Cooperative Economy Report shows the top 30 cooperatives contribute 13% of national GDP by revenue. That was down 4 percentage points from 2015. The number of employees in the sector down 13%. Well, Cooperative Business NZ Chief Executive Ros Henry says that's down to the sale of Western Milk and a change in the operating model for Silver Fern Farms. But she says as a whole, the number of cooperatives is growing and she's predicting more growth because of COVID.
The potential is the tourism sector and the hospitality sector, where we quite often see these businesses get established, and this is globally, this is not just a New Zealand thing, is at times of adversity such as COVID. And so I think there's going to be more of a driver for those sorts of organisations to come together, those SMEs to come together to create scale so that they can actually get through this very challenging period.
Ros Henry says cooperatives are better equipped to deal with situations such as COVID lockdowns. Let's have a look at financial markets now with Andrew Cathy of Craig's Investment Partners. Good afternoon to you, Andrew.
Good afternoon, Giles.
Well, our market hit the skids yesterday, should we say. It had a little bit of a reality check with a sharp fall. How's it looking this morning?
Yeah, look, it's a bit softer with those global markets also being weaker. But look, we're not off as much as those international markets. The NZX 50 is only down 13 points at 13,179.
Any significant moves?
A lot of red ink, not much in the way of big moves. Auckland Airport down 1 at $7.38. Chorus off 3 at $7.07. Contact bucking the trend, it's up 3 at 8.07. EBOS Group off 32 cents at 34.45. Fisher and Paykel Healthcare, it's up 22 cents at 33.22. Main Freight a tad weaker at $93.97. Port of Tauranga up 9 cents at 7.19. Somerset unchanged at 15.14.
How's it looking in Australia?
Yeah, mainly red ink over there. The ASX 200's down 53 points, or 0.7% at 7,459 for the index. Look, all the banks are weak. ANZ's off 25 cents at $27.77. BHP down 45 cents at $41.16. CBA is a tad weaker at $101.92. CSL off 41 cents at $310.58. NAB $28.68. Rio Tinto's off $1.57 at $106.63. Westpac down 20 at $25.90. And Xero off $1.27 at $151.66.
How's the New Zealand dollar looking?
Yeah, a bit mixed really. Against Australia we're a tad stronger, buying 96.4 cents. Against sterling we're 51.53. Against the euro we're 6.001. And against the yen we're 78.16.
Which leaves us with interest rates, oil and gold.
Interest rates largely unchanged. The 90-day bank bill is 0.525%. 10-year interest rate swaps are 2.075%. Brent crude, look, it's a bit stronger. It's trading at $71.68 US a barrel. Gold, largely unchanged at $1,794 US dollars an ounce.
Thank you very much. Andrew Cathy from Craig's Investment Partners. A couple of other items of business news this lunch hour. Dairy company Synlait Milk has sold and is leasing back its Auckland property in Mangere. The property has blending and canning operations, warehousing and offices. It sold the site for $30 million. That's more than double what it paid for it 4 years ago. Synlait says the proceeds will be used to repay debt and it will lease back the site for 10 years with a right of renewal. Cancer diagnostics firm Pacific Edge has repeated that it's disclosed all relevant information to investors amid continued speculation that it plans to raise money. It was briefly halted in trading yesterday after an announcement came out on the Australian Stock Exchange suggesting the company wanted to raise $70 million, something which the company has actually denied and says there's no new information. We'll update the business news and numbers around 5:30 in Checkpoint. But for now, Michael, that's business.
Kia ora, Giles.